Hey everybody, before we get started, just to remind you this episode is brought to you by our patrons like LTFGO Comics, Qua, Draco66, and Nestor Flores. If you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it would really help us out. Thanks for your support, everybody.
Thank you.
And I think I said episodes there for a second, but doesn't matter. You know what I meant. Hey everybody, welcome to Let's Talk FGO. I am one of your hosts, Childhood's End Omega, and with me as always is Lucha Libre Lucky.
Everyone, I hope you're enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka we are at the beginning of the end. And while we here at Studio Omega like to bring you the latest in FGO related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for both the JP and EM version of the game. So anyone not wanting spoilers should just go watch the end of your story.
Yeah, this is another one of those double plus. If you want to go in absolutely blind, don't listen to the last half of this episodes, because we're going to talk about Grand Temple of Time Solomon, because they announced that. Yay. We'll talk about that in a second. So it's funny, we're actually recording this episode a little bit earlier than we usually do.
I'm okay with this.
Because there's going to be a holiday party at my house later. This isn't like the thing with Lucky, was it last week? Was it 2 weeks? I don't know. What's time? What is time, anyone? I've actually been super... All this FGO news has made me super busy with this week and also having to actually finish the chapter. So, I really don't know what time is right now.
It's
but
just a human construct.
Yeah. But this isn't like the thing where I, like, have to go do something. It's just, it's at my house, and it's not practical to record the show if we would let it run later. There's a karaoke machine and everything. It just wouldn't work. So,
You get a karaoke machine at your holiday parties?
we do now. But yes. So yeah, that's just recording a show. That's not going to work. So, luckily, I think I managed to get the ball.
Pole, so there.
Yeah, luckily I managed to get the ball rolling early enough. I'm pretty sure we can cover everything in the show, which is good. And actually, honestly, Solomon's really simple once you lay it all out. But let us go ahead and check in with everybody's favorite Kohai.
Senpai, 起きてください.
That's right, everybody. It's time for Wake the Fuck Up Senpai, our regular segment for pro tips. Here's a very topical one. So, this was tested by a couple of our Discord users, but the buff cancel status effect cancels all buffs applied by a singular skill, or instance or whatever, even if technically one skill drops multiple buffs. This will be useful in the future, and also it's important to keep in mind if you actually get the cancel buff effect, because there's a couple bosses at the end of Babylonia, if you're not done with that yet, that can do that to you. So, yeah, it's not just one buff proc, it's everything that procs on a single instance. Handy. Also, I'm going to mute Let's Talk FGO because people are chatting about stuff and I need to not be distracted. Well, let's go ahead and move into Records from the Throne.
I guess because I have the top one. Because I beat Babylonia, I was able to protect the best Kohai Smile. She has 80 out of 80, spawn level 5, and skills are 10, 10, 10. And it's all like top tier. Fucking top tier.
Yeah, I haven't gotten around to farming all the EXP I need for everybody. Because I need a lot of EXP. I talked about this with some people on the Discord. I really wish that either there was an extra specific, like, EXP card drop, or that you could actually farm all EXPs. Just so it's a more economy efficient. But anyway, and that's relevant to me because, hey, guess what? Gorgon, first ticket, boom! This was the first time I actually got gold sparkles in a long time. Like, really? Yeah, like on a ticket, it was everything. I'm trying to remember. I don't even remember if Ishtar even actually sparkled. It just flipped over a gold archer card. But yeah, no, the orbs lit up gold, and I was like, well, this is pretty good. It's a gold card. Oh, it's an Avenger. Boom. Gordo, first ticket. Super happy. I didn't get anything else with my 5 tickets that I had saved up. But I got the thing I was aiming for.
Yeah, you are definitely ahead of the game now.
Yeah. Also, I got to my max master level.
Oh, yeah. Super good. When is the... I know there's a level increase.
Yeah, I don't know when that is, actually. I haven't looked it up. And I feel like that's enough of a not, like, event or structure-based increase that they could probably do that sooner if it's not already soon. So we'll see.
We could probably hope maybe around, maybe our 2nd year anniversary, maybe.
Yeah, maybe around the anniversary, or maybe one of the Epic of Remnant chapters.
Yeah. It'd be useful.
It would.
Because,
I'm already getting a little annoyed that I look at that every time and it's like level maxed. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. That's like all that XP I gained, nothing.
Well, I'm back to farming bonds now.
Yep. Oh, praise the child day at lunchtime.
Yeah, the double lunchtime strats are great. Now I'm doing free quests and it's just so sad. After the story quests, you're getting like half as much BP.
We'll talk about this later, because I want to talk about, because for once we do have, and not all the world's evil, but damn close. So this one's mine, because I literally spent my entire Christmas bonus paycheck on FGO, specifically the Babylonia 2 summer banner, and I did not get a single SR servant or SSR. I got a few SSR CEs, like I got Origin Bullet, Black Grail, and Dress of Heaven. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. I got those 3 SSR CEs, but over 300 quartz, not a single SR servant, which I think it's kind of rough.
Yeah.
That's like I'm not mad that I didn't get Quetz or Gorgon, because that's the nature of the gacha. It's unpredictable. But at the same time,
honestly, I think the actual quote-unquote rate up percentage for specific SRs is not that great anyway.
It's not that great anyway, so, whatever, I didn't get them, but I didn't get, anything! That's what blows my mind! I know, we were actually discussing this in I wasn't discussing this, because I've been kind of giving the side-eye to the Discord recently, but people were discussing probability and how that works in Fate Grand Order. People remember, the statistics isn't cumulative, no, every time you roll, it's fresh. It's from zero.
Basically, you go to the Walmart, because I know you have a local Walmart, or whatever your equivalent is if you don't live in the US. You go up to that capsule machine. That's a nickel for every capsule. Only Big Daddy DW is standing right behind that capsule machine with more capsules, and every time you take a pull, they just dump more capsules back into the machine.
Yep. And then they mix it back, and they mix them all up.
It's unlimited replacement.
Yeah. So I wasn't concerned about the rate up. It's just that I found the fact that I didn't get a single SR just really low. That's it was over 100 pools. I think it was with the quartz I had, and it was I got a math here real quick. It was 130 pools. No, 115 pools. Excuse me.
Yeah, no, that's statistically unexpected. Though I know people have had dry spells like that. I've had rough periods without SRs for a long time.
Yeah, I think honestly, all my luck went to Azure Lane, where I got some very good pools.
Where everybody got Graf Zeppelin right away.
Yeah,
which was great. And that hey, guess what, guys? I'm no longer free to play at Azure Lane. I bought because I didn't have to spend quartz on Ishtar. I bought the lucky bag so I could buy Graf Zeppelin a swimsuit in winter.
Yes.
And now I have the cursed choice. With my remaining gems, I need to decide: do I buy Tirpitz or do I buy Santa Enterprise? We'll see. I have to unlock Tirpitz first because I haven't been able to. I have not yet had the time to push through all the story and get all the points. I'm glad that people on our Discord are saying you can, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, tangenting slightly, but yeah, no, I've the only reason why I haven't got it is because I'm literally out of oil. I have 400 oil. I'm
yeah, that happens if you farm pretty hard. I think I've managed a decent pace. I had a decent amount of oil stockpiled beforehand.
Yeah, I did. But enough about that. I'm probably not done throwing money at FGO. I might do another roll. Actually, maybe.
Well, first of all, they haven't obviously announced it because that's New Year's, but there's a guaranteed SSR banner coming up. So
yeah, I gotta buy quartz anyway, but we'll see.
Yeah. By the way, because I did not get cuts, if people are asking about that still, I'm still rolling on Riders. Because there's 4 of them, and I have none of them. Because Riders don't like me, but Archers do. Seriously, I've double checked. I have 3 4-star Archers. I got all the 3 stars. I got 2 SSR Archers now, one of whom is an MP2. Thanks, Tesla. No, Archers like me. I think I said that the first day. I think our first show, or was it our second show, I was talking about how much Archers like me, and apparently Riders don't. but that's okay. I grilled Medusa.
Oh yeah. You know, sure. You know, I'm gonna live roll.
Oh
If
boy,
I
he's
start
live
streaming-
rolling. Well, while he gets to that, also I should Editor Lucky's already seen this, but I should apologize to him anyway. I'm sorry. I had some problems getting my soundboard up. I accidentally stepped on you a little bit with a classic Tama wow.
Good job.
But I managed to get the sound clip out. Also, Editor Lucky's gonna be real shocked at about 15 seconds into this when I stop the Patreon. What I used for the intro sound, you'll be surprised.
Maybe I'll do something interesting with it. I don't know.
Maybe.
But oh shoot, there was something else I was gonna say. No, I can save. No, actually, I can save that for our Babylonia second/final impressions.
Yeah, because we're both done now.
Yep.
Lucky, you. I think immediately after we finished recording last week's show, you went and beat it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I beat it a couple days ago. I was slow rolling a little because I had to do a lot of work for the show, but I managed to, with the half AP thing that they announced. We'll talk about that in a second. I was able to push through without needing to spend a lot of time. I don't know. You know, I've got some thoughts. I've got some thoughts about that third act. I got some thoughts about that anime adaptation. Anyway, but first, we're gonna move into Skelegram's. I'll take this first bit of news because I was there for it. You were asleep or something.
Or something.
But at the FGO Winterfest, which I think is in Hokkaido, they had a stream where they announced some stuff. There's another FGO arcade collab and stuff. I don't know, they're doing some kind of cafe collab. Who cares? Arcade is not leaving the Japans yet.
Honestly, if I could get a hold of our cow, I would ask him if he'd be interested in maybe bringing like FGO arcade, like hooking up machines and just bringing them to conventions and letting people play them
I
there.
think people have asked about that. I mean, they're doing that tour. Like, if I was Albert, I would make sure that when we're doing that tour, we've got like an English machine. But
I wouldn't even you wouldn't even need an English machine.
Actually, that's
like,
true. Just the novelty of being able to get the physical cards and play would be cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, I would love a console port, just for the sake of seeing the gameplay. But I get that part of the appeal is that this is a very high quality machine that literally prints out gacha cards.
Yeah. But but other than that, like unless they did something like that, nah.
Yeah, no, it's you couldn't put FGO arcades in like Dave & Buster's or whatever. It wouldn't be economically viable.
Dave & Buster's doesn't really have that anime feel.
No, but I'm just trying to think of what's an arcade franchise I know exists. Dave & Buster's still, but they're also a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I think I've ever gone to a Dave & Buster's for food. It's just, by the way, in one half we have food, and in the other half we have a fucking arcade. It definitely wouldn't make it in, like, the front of your bowling alley with the DDR machines and the air hockey.
Nope.
Arcade culture has really gone downhill in America, and it's very limited.
It's so sad.
Which, yeah, it is. But at the same time, that kind of explains why we're so touchy about FGO as a concept, right? We've gotten out of our feed the machine quarters phase.
I don't know, like, I wasn't really even into the feed the machine quarters because I didn't have money for a longest ass time.
Oh yeah, no, that's fair. Like, if you were actually a kid who could afford to go to an arcade regularly, that's probably pretty good.
Yeah. Alright, I have bought quartz. Let's go to that summon banner.
They announced the next set of FGO dual figures in a carrying case. Arthur's in it. That's cool. Also Cleo and Fat Caesar. Here's a really cool thing. They've announced FGO Orchestra and CD. They're going to have some live performances with the FGO with orchestrated versions of the soundtrack, and also they're releasing a CD.
Oh, I want that.
Yeah, that'll be super cool.
I don't even need like anything translate. Just give me the fucking.
Yeah, just the orchestration of the music will be great.
Mm-hmm.
They announced Christmas 2018 Holy Samba Night, which started 12/12.
Oh, there are thoughts.
Yeah, I saw some people were like, "Oh, you got scooped." I mean, we got scooped, but at the same time, they didn't give the whole event details. Like when the stream came out, they didn't announce the SSR. So, like, even if we'd done our show a day late, we'd still have missed stuff just because they started the event in the middle of the week. So now we have the complete picture, which is pretty cool. There's a lot of wrestling references. The quests are daily story, so like every day is a new match versus weird tag teams. It sounds like from early translations, it's very funny. We're getting 4-star ruler Christmas Quets, aka Ket's Samba / Santa, I'm just gonna say Samba because that's way easier. That's like trying to say Altera Santa. It just calm down, FGO.
Nope.
Some of us are not
Confused.
character-based languages. Or you can like get your phenoms out just a couple characters at a time. Well, first of all, that's our first welfare ruler. We'll do some analysis of her later, but that's a pretty big deal.
Mm-hmm.
For this event, Kets gets double EXP, basically like a permanent super success on all the XP expenditures. Old Sanchez and I think also the event, the banner servants get an attack and BP bonus. And to engage in this story, you need to complete Lost Belt 1, which has confused some people because previous events have gone back and forth on like how far you need to be in the story. I feel like just in general, for the sake of like stuff, FGO wants you to be ahead of the game on completing story anyway, so they're going to keep pressuring it, even if maybe you don't exactly need to complete the story. So it's a time story event, there's various currencies, there's a lotto, there's some new CEs, there's a command code, whatever.
Hold the phones, I got me Big Snake.
Nice.
Yes. Now here's the question, I have some quartz left. Should I keep rolling for quets, or should I hold off? I'll leave that decision to you, Omega.
I mean, do you want Lucha One-san?
Yes.
Then keep rolling.
Okay, I'm gonna keep rolling.
That's the thing with me, is always when rolling stuff is, did I get what I want? Do I want to keep going? Because, like, I easily had the quartz to throw a 10 spin on the banner, but when I got Gorgon and, like, tickets, and I'm like, alright, I'll throw the rest of my tickets, I'll see what happens. I just got a bunch of Garbo CEs, I got another Mappo fucking Tofu, and I'm like, okay, we're done here. I got what I wanted, I'm gonna take my chance on the guaranteed SSR later. Alright, so, where was I? Samba Cuts has a costume option, which is, I think, a first for welfares, to put her Lucha mask on, because Quetzalcoatl never removes her mask. There you go. There's your dank references, guys. So the summon banner is actually quite interesting. We have new SSR Lancer Bradamante. We have SSR Rider Ketz coming back, which is good because she's story locked. And we have both super rare Marthas. That includes the regular and the summer version in the middle of Christmas. There's those cool CEs you mentioned above. The Anastasia one looks neat, but I'm really all about that Christmas Valkyries. If Editor Lucky feels like it, he might throw them up on the screen, or he might not. Who cares? You can look them up. The important thing to note is that, as said, Bradamante is permanent, which is that's a big return to form. The last time we did that was the first Christmas with Jack. And yeah, technically, I think. Well, that would depend. Did London start right away after Christmas ended?
No, there was...
Was there a little bit of gap for like a half AP story or something?
Oh, man.
If there would have been a
remember.
delay. I'm pretty sure that Bradamante literally becomes permanent after this event stops on Christmas. Oh, and Ryder Martha got an animation update. It's cool. She's very shiny. But the way she attacks with Tarask is she does golf club him.
It's kind of hilarious. This poor dragon.
Do we want to talk about kind of the huff about Bradamante now, or do we want to save that for talking about her as a servant later?
Let's do it now.
All right, so it's a little strange what gets the greater FGO community's goat sometimes. So day 0. Bradamante's just been announced that she's on the upcoming banner. Literally, you only have her NP to go on. And this was very controversial. Because Bradamante's NP has a very dynamic action shot, which also happens to frame her butt. Very well, I might add. And this had a lot of people, I don't know, confused, concerned. I mean, I personally think it's a little weird. Like, FGO's never been shy about flattering the top half. Gorgon.
Yeah, no.
Like,
honestly, it honestly threw me for a loop. It threw me on loops that I literally had to distance myself from the Discord for a bit because it was like knee-jerk reactions of people. Just
People were weirded out and very quickly became nitpicky. I don't want to put this on anyone in our Discord. I think a lot of the greater community though was just mad that they didn't think that Bradamante was an Ishtar or an Ereshkigal. Right? Like, a lot of people were seemed upset that that a bigger character didn't get focus. But this event is also subtitled "And the Girl Knight," so I assume that Bradamante is important to the Christmas story. She's also been data mined for like forever, so this is another old ass servant scratched off there.
Yeah.
And the third last thing I want to add in that chain is also she is a permanent again. Like that's a big deal. The last time a permanent SSR Lancer was added was Enkidu. Like right now, it's 2 years before that happens. NA players, so buckle the fuck up.
You see, like here's the thing that like people didn't like her color scheme. People didn't like her fucking design. People didn't like her high voice. People didn't like her noble phantasm. They thought it was, like, too bland. They didn't like the ass shots. Like, I'm just trying to think of, like...
Yeah, people just... It's so weird. Like I said, I said this in, like, the Discord later. It was like, okay, so you're Delightworks, you're designing a new servant, and they're like, oh, hey, she's doing, like, a shield rush. Maybe we could do, like, a cool dynamic behind-the-back shot. With a
like literally,
show off her butt and, like... Are they gonna complain?
Kind.
Like, I'm sure to Delightworks, they were not thinking anybody would mind. And as we talked about before the mic started rolling, Twitter certainly doesn't seem to mind.
Oh, well, like I said, Twitter doesn't have to hold themselves accountable in conversation.
True.
But, like, here's the thing. That Noble Phantasm, like, people are like, oh, it's kind of like, no, that's really fucking high quality.
Yeah, she has a what would you even call that? A dynamic perspective shot. Like,
yeah.
There's usually two kinds of NPs, sprites. There's just a different animation for your side-looking sprite, which is most of them, and then a couple of them have front-looking sprites.
They just recently started using full 3D models. Well, I wouldn't say recently, but when this game started, they weren't using full 3D models for Noble Phantasms. Now they've gone into 3D models, and now they're actually doing full 3-dimensional perspective with these models. This is like the first one where that specific 3D perspective has been held for any sort of amount of time.
And once again, this is on a permanent servant. Like, this isn't... like, if you want to complain, oh, they didn't pull out all the stops for waifu stuff for Christmas, I'm not going to spend money. They still put a lot of effort into a servant that is permanent. Like, that's not a limited draw. She can just spook you whenever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, some people have, over a couple days, some people have talked it out, and they've kind of calmed down about it, and just, like, some people have just settled on, I guess it's not my aesthetic. Which is fine. That's okay if you don't like some designs. We've had this conversation before about how please don't remind everybody of your opinion of certain designs all the time. But we get it. Some people don't like the thing. For me, once again, we actually looked up who the artist was. This is one of those cases where I'm like, yeah, they picked this artist for a reason, because they think they're a cool artist who does designs, and they want to use those designs, so the artist is going to art.
Mm-hmm.
I think it shows how jaded the English-speaking community is, like, which, lucky you and I have to be, like, the most unjaded people we can find, which is saying something, because I think we're also super jaded, just not about entertainment. It's funny that way.
Not about entertainment. Well, here's the thing, entertainment... In all forms of entertainment, someone put in a solid effort to create something.
Mm-hmm.
And I will never look down upon someone or what they created, because
that takes
fucking funny effort and time.
You might find it funny, but somebody had to do some modeling work to make that sprite work, regardless of angle.
Mm-hmm. So, like, there's a lot of people who put time, effort, and money into making that character in Noble Phantasm.
The artist too, like, because there's multiple, obviously the Ascensions, so you had to probably go through some design sketches. They're pretty different in, like, exact style and outfit type too.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, most of that I think has died out as people actually got to know her character and stopped being shallow assholes. That's right, I said it. You judged a girl by her appearance, by her butt. What's wrong with you? I tweeted this when there's a couple Reddit users who usually translate their, like, bond lines and profiles and stuff. The moment her translation of Bradamante's lines came out, I linked that and I tweeted, Bradamante is adorable. I will fight any man or woman who says otherwise. Because she is. Her dialogue's great.
Oh, that's good.
Also, she's actually shockingly accurate to the epic poems she's from. Because in case you don't know, Bradamante is one of the 12 paladins of Charlemagne. She is a peer of Roland and Astolfo and Charlemagne. Appeared primarily in the Italian poems, Orlando Furioso and Orlando Inamormoro. There's a lot of M's in that second one. Where she's basically a deuteragonist with Astolfo. And a lot of elements of her character are true to that. She has the Shield of Light she got from an evil wizard. She's got her anti-magic ring, which is why she has a high magic resistance, and also that's her bond CE. You can't see it in her design because she's wearing gloves, but she explicitly says it in one of her bond lines, that she's got a ring on under the gloves. They mention how she gave Astolfo the hippogriff, so she can't summon it because she's a lancer. She should have a version of the Trap of Argalia or something, but that's a joke that she's a lancer without a lance, though. But they make it work, because technically originally she didn't. That was like Astolfo gave her a Noble Phantasm to get another Noble Phantasm kind of thing. She's a huge fangirl of Merlin, because in the poem, Merlin's ghost appears and helps her, which is cool. She's a huge fangirl over Hector, because she's supposed to be descended from him. And they keep to it very well, and she's very interesting and excitable, but she's trying to do her best as a paladin of Charlemagne, goddammit.
She sounds like she deserves all the fucking head pats.
She does. Also, by the way, she is not your waifu. She gets married at the end of the poem, and she's still all about Ruggiero. Though she's a little weird. She looks at Foe and she's like, "Is this fluffy animal the reincarnation of my husband?" I'm like, "Are you okay? Perhaps you like Merlin too much." The fluff. But yeah, no. So like, it's very interesting to see this kind of turnover from immediately, I hate this new girl. She's not what I wanted. I wanted Muramasa, Tamo, assassin, whatever. To a decent amount of people have rolled over to, well, I guess she's alright. She's nice. And then lots of people, like, right now, Voice is Voice of Bradamante Courts.
Voice definitely, took his stance early.
Yes. By the way, Voice, if you're listening, which I know you are, next time you change your name, you need to change your name to Voice of Homewrecker Courts.
What?
Because he's constantly going after married women and widows. He's a home-wrecking rock.
Did someone just throw him through the window?
People in glass houses should not throw quartz.
I'm probably gonna save that later.
Yeah, that's gonna show up in Discord in like 3 or 4 days.
Probably.
By the way, join our Discord. Editor Lucky loves to clip out just perfectly framed lines like that and drop them without context. We'll turn them into a thing someday. Alright, so we talked like 30 minutes on that. Let's go ahead and move on. Tell me about the NA news, Lucky.
Alright, over here in the good US of A, we have the final singularity, the Grand Temple of Time, Solomon. It has been announced. It will be landing in all of our labs December 20th. Coming along with that is what everyone is waiting for, the Merlin banner.
Yes, Wanted Merlin will be out on time this time because they actually gave me lead.
So I want to take a pause here real quick. And this is going to be, not to be too memey, but there's been something that's been grinding my gears already. We've just got this Merlin announcement, and I'm already seeing the FGO community, starting to divide itself.
Yeah, that happened in JP.
Yeah. Because...
Hopefully people can get over it a little. Because we have foresight, and, you can understand that different supports are coming later.
Yeah, but,
other stuff.
So everyone, I won't say everyone, because that's a gross over-exaggeration, but a lot of people are getting into that mindset if I don't get Merlin, I'm not going to be able to play, do this game, or it's going to be way too hard, or...
Lies.
Stuff like that, and stuff like that.
So here's the thing. You play with Merlin support in the story. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's not...
He's fucking good. He's really great.
He's not, but as an NPC, he's not, the end-all, be-all. You still get through those quests when he leaves the story, too.
Mm-hmm.
He does make those battles with him easier, except when the game makes you fight riders, and then he still gets crushed. He gets creamed, like a normal person. The thing that Merlin does is he makes certain parts of the game really easy, and then the game changes the rules so that they're not so easy. He's still really good if you get him, and you'll love to have him on support just because he's super handy. Just like everybody who's got a waiver or Tamamo puts them on support because they're super handy and people want them. But
Yeah, like
this
I'm
is
gonna
just
say
like
this
Voice did a video which was "Don't quit if you don't get Jolter." I think he talked about if he needed to re-release that video for like Merlin, but I think he's swamped with doing analysis of JP. But definitely, it's still true. If you don't get Merlin, don't quit. If you like Merlin for Merlin, roll for him all you like. Honestly, if you've been playing FGO just for gameplay, you're kind of doing it wrong because the we'll talk about this when we get to Babylonia. The gameplay can be very structured. I don't know what I'm trying to figure out what's the word for like the gameplay's very railroady at times. There's a good word for it. Like the game will totally just fuck you out of normal aspects of gameplay just to be harder because it feels like it. We will definitely have some thoughts about later chapters in Babylonia in that respect. But like Merlin makes a lot of stuff autopilot, but you can still easily play the game, and it's not really that hard.
Okay, now I can talk. So, what I was trying to say is that Merlin is not going to be your one and only solution to everything, no matter how much other people are going to say it. If you get him, great. If you don't, learn a different strategy. Because here's the thing. If you think a game that has a game where you have to buy with physical money certain characters, will have that one character be the only solution to solving a problem, that is a failure of a game. Alright? If you don't get Merlin, trust me, there are other things you can do. Remember, the bottom line is they have to make it a game where basically you can take the lowest rarity servants, and still be able to complete something.
Well, they don't have to do that, because lots of gacha games are actually shitty, and they don't do that. FGO is amazing. You can clear the entire game with bronzes.
Yeah. Well, that's if they want to be a good game.
Yes.
I should say. Because otherwise, they failed at fucking a game design. Because then it doesn't go from a game, it just goes into it goes literally into fucking... I thought it actually does become... I think it would actually become... I can't think of the word. But it's not good.
Yeah. And like... I'll say this. I got a Jolter. You got a Jolter. Jolter's kind of easy moto already without needing to Merlin it up, but do I use my Jolter all the time? Not really. I should actually use her more because I want to get her bond points, but it's it's not always... It doesn't always work out.
I have to have Jolter when I have Jean out because I think it's amusing to see her, like, especially like when Jean's flags covers up Jolter. I'm like, TV.
And yes, if I did have a Merlin of my own, to that would be like, oh, you're set. You can just autopilot everything. And like, sure, okay, I'll crush some bosses like that. But also, I'm kind of nitpicky. I like flick around my team comps a lot to like see what works and what doesn't. I like to try and make story support work in story events.
I like taking like... I honestly try to build my my teams around what the story has, rather than what's maybe my best.
And honestly, that's probably why some of my bond levels are a little low. Like, because we did some comparisons lately, and I'm like, I only have a select few at higher levels. I got a decent chunk of people to 6, but I only have a few like 7s and 8s, whereas there are people out there with like multiple 10s. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just because even though I've been playing this game since launch, I never really looked at it like, oh, I have to take X with me all the time. Like, I have a Herc. I've used him a few times. I used him quite notably to save my bacon in a couple of the final Babylonia fights because I was dragging up his levels for that. Thanks, Kets. But, like, I don't take him with me to everything. When I'm farming EXPs, I take Lancelot with me everywhere, and I take Arash, but that's because that's how my 3 turns clear sweep works. And just, yeah. And so, yes, that does mean that I have a decently high-level bonded Lancelot, since I finally got that setup figured out, but that's just because that's the simplest way to do something that's not complex and interesting. Beating up hands.
I was gonna have a good way to end this, but you talked too long and I forgot what it was.
Rip.
I mean, we can talk... This was... All roads don't lead to fucking Merlin, or end with Merlin. It was something like that. I can't remember what it was. I'll just do it. We're good. We'll finish.
But all roads do lead to Rome.
Yeah, Roma.
So we could talk about how Merlin wrote his own copy apparently. Everybody's favorite Big Brother has arrived.
Yeah.
That confused some people. They were like, "Why does he want us to call?" That's a basic Japaneseism. You refer to other people with like pronouns as like you would a family member.
Mm-hmm.
If you
like
meet
neighbor.
a neighbor or a friend or somebody out there, you can or just a rando on the street, you might call him Oni-san. And you want to be very careful about what you do, because if you call him Oji-san, uncle or grandpa, that might make younger men mad. So Merlin is like, call me your big brother, not your uncle.
Yep. Also super important, though, if you do complete Babylonia before the drop, you get 30-cent quartz. People were a little concerned, Kiss, about this. They weren't sure, but we are getting it.
Hopefully I didn't come on too hot. I fired it. I fired out an at one person specifically in our Discord when the announcement got made, but they were the one who I was most concerned about the risk of it, and I was just like, hey, no, it's there. Boom. It's happening.
Yep.
I didn't intend that as like a spicy thing, but I was just like, hey, you specifically were concerned about this, so boom, right now.
Yeah. And to help get this, the Gold Apples promotion got extended, and there's now half AP on all story quests, including Babylonia.
Which is great. You can beat them for like 11 AP. Really helped me out at the end. Yeah, I think it's time to transition, I guess, into free talk and talk more about Babylonia.
Oh boy, so again, big spoiler warning. I'm gonna stick it right here because I've completed it. Omega's completed it. I'm pretty sure most of you out there listening have completed or have gotten most of the way there. So we're just gonna go all.
I know some people are taking it at their own pace. That's free. That's fine. We're gonna continue our moratorium on main story spoilers in our Discord until Time Temple Solomon drops, just to be safe. But on the show.
But oh man, I'm trying to remember. Okay, so Babylonia definitely has a system of ramping up tension and then breaking it.
Babylonia has a 3-act structure. I think let's figure it out. So the first act, I think that probably wraps. Would you say about when Leonidas gets blasted? That's like your first big loss when you realize, oh, we're actually in the shit.
Yeah, the first song is until Gorgon basically storms the wall.
And then you're like, oh, shit, we have to do something different about this. And then the second act ends somewhere between defeating Gorgon and Tiamat waking up.
Like right there. Literally the 3 goddesses. Dealing with all 3 of the goddesses, that's your second act.
And then when you fight Femme Fatale, and then like, oh, that turns out to be a bad thing. That's all the third act, just climax.
I will say this right now. Tiamat alter ego win. Gimme, please, now.
Yes, Tiamat servant win.
Yeah. I was talking about this on the Discord earlier. It's like, I don't even need her to be fully voiced. I just need her to make humming and singing noises while she does actions. I'll be completely down with that.
Oh, by the way, in case you didn't know, you can actually look this up because she has an in-game profile. But Tiamat's voiced by the incredible Aoyuki again, who just makes law noises. Shout out to that one guy on Reddit. I've lost the post, and they only posted it as a Reddit video. If you're listening to this, please make it a YouTube video so I can watch it forever. Somebody did a fucking singing Tiamat edit where they superimposed and altered her singing tones to match the tone of the Screaming Cowboy meme. It is fucking phenomenal.
I like that voice enough that I cut out her voice too, and I just have them saved. I put them in our Discord because I do that stuff.
The audience may have already heard these clips because I saved them.
I told Omega, if he wants me to save, specific voices or something, I can do it.
Yeah. But no, there's not usually a need. It's just you happen to do the thing with Tiamat. It's like, well, if you can give me free audio assets.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so I'm trying to think.
I decided to Tiamat my phone, so I have a Tiamat background, and now my message alert is now the soft Tiamat singing. I'm like, yes.
Because Tiamat sings a lot, because that's all she can do. But asshole Lahu. We'll talk about Lahu in a second. Where did we leave off? I think you were about halfway through the second act. You hadn't gotten to Eresh proper yet, I don't think.
Nope. So, where I left off is we had literally just got the axe of Marduk.
Yes. which was a great
questions?
sequence. I did, in fact, justice.
Yes. Real talk, when they do the anime, they better do justice. Like, I will be...
I feel, if I'm remembering right, it's the Babylonia anime is going to be the male protagonist, right? That's voiced by Nobunaga, who does Arjuna and Dantes. I'm pretty sure that guy's a big enough dork. He's going to want to do a justice read in the booth.
Yeah. Sagi!
Or in English. Who knows?
I don't know. But, oh my god, like, there's just so, like, there's definitely things, like, there's a lot of scenes in Babylonia in an anime. I'm like, oh my god, they need to do this right.
Oh yeah, no, like there are a lot. We're going to talk about a very important sequence, I think, that's in the climax that, like, I want to see animated, and I want to see it animated well. By the way, there's been some concern about how many episodes of Babylonia is going to be. I don't think we know. Because I double checked this. There's no, like, official sources or announcement I can find for how many episodes. I think they really need 26 or 25-ish.
They could. Like, Apocrypha got 26. Like, shoot. Unlimited Blade Works got 26.
Mm-hmm. Last Encore didn't, but Last Encore was weird.
Last Encore was weird. It was really
They even split their production. So
yeah. Zero got 26.
Also, this is from Cloverworks, right? And they've done adaptations that have run 2 cores, like P5.
Yeah.
So this will hopefully be like 25, 26 episodes. I think it needs the breathing room.
It does.
Because there's some quests and stuff that, like, you could very easily montage, but at the other point, like, a lot of these big scenes need some time to breathe.
Like, the whole Chaldean embassy, when you're running out doing errands and stuff, that can totally just be, like...
Yeah, that's like half an episode montage.
Yeah.
You show some scenes, and then it smash cuts to talking to King Gil.
But, like... where was I? Oh, yeah. So, where I left off was the Axe of Marduk.
Mm-hmm.
Justice is great. So, you basically wing back the fucking, axe, and Gil's like, alright, now you gotta go deal with the Ereshkigal.
Which is a whole thing, like, figuring out that actually Ereshkigal is involved. Because there's, like, this whole question of, like, MASH clearly assumed that Ishtar was in the Three Goddess Alliance, and they were like, no, not in the first place.
No, I'm just around here making a nuisance.
Though there's one point I want to bring up, because we didn't talk about these spoilers, but your first encounters with Gorgon, because we didn't even talk about this last time, because I hadn't gotten there yet, but the first time you talked about how the rescue mission went bad, but, like, that's actually a
real bad.
A very shocking, important sequence where, like, Gorgon comes out of the fucking ground, and Boss Gorgon's sprite, Gorgon's already a huge girl. Her boss sprite is enormous. I think they say that her tail is, like, 100 feet in that form.
Like, I think I can't remember, like, how they described it, but, like, her tail literally, like, goes around everybody.
Yes, it's real scary. The music's perfect, by the way. Editor Lucky, if you haven't been playing the Gorgon boss theme this entire time, just suplex yourself. Suplex yourself away from me. But yeah, no, it's a great sequence, and it's an emotionally, like, heartbreaking sequence. Ushi breaks her promise to Gil to not go into the town and tries to fucking drop Gorgon, but it doesn't work. Rip. And then, like, Gorgon chases you all the way to the wall with her. Apparently, she has both eye beams and stone beams.
One's mystic eyes and mystic eyes of petrification.
Yeah. So Leonidas, we mentioned it. Leonidas saves you with the 300, and he gets turned to stone, and he's a real baller. There's, like, that one sprite of, like, of Gorgon, like, smoking afterward, because he's just soaked up all of her heat beams with his own smoking hot Spartans. Like, just like, nah, it's real cool. It's a really great sequence. Like, you feel the triumph transition into heartbreak.
But then what I liked about that scene is, like, immediately right after that, like, after it's done, it's like all the men that, like, Leonidas have been training and stuff, they're all like, no, this is not how Leonidas does shit. No, we do this shit, like, the proper way. And everyone, you know, like, got up, like, didn't lose heart, or, like, even though all this bullshit just fucking happened and kept going. something that was a lot more heartbreaking to me personally was what the fate of Ushiwakamaru and Benkei.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So,
but we'll talk about
last week I
that
told
more
you-
because Benkei has a whole arc.
Yeah, Benkei has a whole arc. But Ushiwakamaru, remember that whole scene where I said this is the shit of Dark Dojins?
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah. Like,
literally. But yes, also. Gorgon's temples is very creepy. You thought it was just bad enough in general that her pandemonium cestus is kind of creepy and melts people, but when she gets Tiamat's authority involved, it gets creepier.
Yeah, she can put beasts in people and make them grow out of people, and while they are literally sealed to the walls, it's like, excuse me, was someone having a bad day when they decided this? Nasu?
Hey, at least it wasn't worse. But yeah. And that's not even what happens to Ushi. What happens with Ushi is that she refuses to stop sassing Kingu, who's like, "All right, I'm gonna go take you to see Mother in person with her what the King of Mages calls her Chaos Tide, which is basically described as the Grail Mud Plus."
Oh yeah. Oh hey, voices in with us.
Yeah, we've actually picked up a couple people listening to us.
Yep. So yeah, Dark Temple, very spooky. Like, what fuck? And this is one of the really interesting design choices I thought about the chapter, is they give you a countdown timer.
Yeah, they
honestly,
like days till Gorgon.
No, see, here's the interesting thing. There's nothing more foreboding or more like a Damocles sword than when you have a fucking countdown timer.
And also, it's important to note that because you have multiple days of travel time, it jumps a couple days a few times.
Mm-hmm. And so you're like literally trying to figure out the solution on how to win this, and the time's ticking down. See, people don't really understand that because, as I said, time is kind of a nebulous concept. Like, unless you literally actually put a limit on it or some sort or measurement on it, it's just infinite.
Yeah.
So by literally putting a countdown timer in the chapter, you literally feel the tension ratchet the closer you get to the final day.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, in a lot of previous chapters, like, as I was saying, time was very nebulous.
Well, and also,
like,
in this chapter, you blow a month. You spend a month in Uruk.
Yeah, being, like I said, that half an episode montage? That's a month.
And then Mash just says, "We've been in Uruk a month, Senpai. Isn't it great?"
It's like...
I mean, it really helps you build attachment to the city. The city's almost a fucking character in this singularity.
It is. And that's why later chapters make you fucking heartbroken.
Yeah.
Oh
but yeah,
my
so
God.
we start the countdown, and we already talked plenty about meeting Kets, dismantling that problem.
Yep.
So now we go to Ereshkigal, where Ishtar has to take you into the underworld, and she tells Kets and Merlin, "All right, you guys stay out here. If we don't come back, you guys have to bargain with Ereshkigal to get the master back."
This is because Ereshkigal, while she doesn't have that much divinity or power above ground, in the underworld, she is the law.
Right, and that's how it's supposed to be. She has the absolute authority over the underworld. She is the queen there, just like Ishtar is the queen of heaven, so what she says goes.
Mm-hmm. And we have one of, I think, probably the most hilarious...
Yes. It's a great
interesting sequence of events. Because they explain it a little bit, but one time in Sumerian myth, Ishtar basically stormed the underworld. I can't remember exactly why.
Well, the way this is actually an ambiguous myth, like scholars can't decide, but in the story, Ishtar says later that she basically admits it was arrogance. She thought that because she had all these divine authorities that she could just smash in and challenge her sister, and because they are basically referred to as like they're either the same or a sister deities. The way they interact in the actual story is like sisters, but she just wants to be like, I could just smash right in, and because she thought that was another thing she could do.
Yep, but there were 7 gates. Ishtar had 7. It was 7. I think in the original myth it was like 7 like pieces of jewelry or clothing or something.
Well, yeah, she was clad in what they call maze, which is the formal like spells of authority. But in this case, they just say she was clad with 7 items of authority.
But basically every time she passed through one of the gates of the underworld, she would have to remove one to get through.
Mm-hmm.
And basically had to stand before a Ereshkigal naked.
And get murdered.
Yep. So, of course they can't do that here. But, Ereshkigal, who, has been, I'm just gonna spoil that, has been literally hijacking
I mean, as in character, you know a long time before it comes up. Like, your character has clearly figured it out. The game doesn't necessarily want to put that on the player, though, but as a character and as a player, you can easily pick the option to you know something up with Ishtar when Ereshkigal's hijacking her body.
I still love the line, my romantic interlude sense is tingling.
Mm-hmm. You have a lot of funny lines with Eresh.
But so basically every time you go through one of the gates, you have to answer a question, and there's supposed to be these, questions that literally, measure and weigh your soul, your mind, your being.
Nope.
You get to the first fucking gate and it basically boils down to who's more pretty, Ereshkigal or Ishtar. And this is the entire vein for all 7. Well, I say all 7, but it's like 4, and then they just fast forward through the last 3.
Yeah.
And this actually had an interesting in-game effect because I didn't actually pay attention to the actually stats or whatnot. But if you ever pick the quote-unquote wrong answer, you're supposed to fight tougher enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, you're fucking fighting something, so I really didn't care. I picked what pleased me.
I picked Ishtar every time. But that's because I was severely joshing with Ereshkigal. I mean, what she expected to put me through all this bullshit with the stealing Ishtar's body and having to go through the gates. I'm not gonna say what she wants. I'll put her on blast a little bit.
Here is the thing that killed me, though. Basically, every time you went through a gate, the same thing happened to Ishtar. She lost a bit of her power. Mm-hmm. She didn't lose her clothes.
Well, yeah, they phrase it as because as a servant, she doesn't actually have her physical items of authority. Mm-hmm. The only way to reduce her divinity is to reduce it directly out of her body, which means she gets tinier by 1/7 every time.
And here's the craziest fucking thing. They actually reduced her in-game sprite in battle.
Yes, they do. It's hard to see because I think if you pick a lot of the pro Ishtar options, the enemies are Lancers a lot.
Yeah, but I remember I got to the final boss. I'm like, I'm gonna pick this Ishtar. She says she's the size of a cat. You actually picture? No, she's literally the size of a fucking cat. She's so small that her attacks don't connect properly.
Yes.
I was like, oh my god. It was so amazing.
Which also, by the way, has some hilarious sequences, because you originally go down to the underworld because Eresh has basically killed Gil. He momentarily succumbed to exhaustion, and the Galu spirits scarpered off with his soul.
Yep. But you run into him halfway there, and it's fucking hilarious. The Gil Ishtar bants are top percent as always.
Mm-hmm. She fucking, chest checks him like an actual cat and nearly kills him eternally and plunges him into the abyss.
The greatest thing is when they got out, Gil had fucking statues made of the shit he did, and one of him was him almost falling off the fucking cliff. I'm like, man, Gil, you, I thought Omega was a shill.
Yeah, no, I talked about this. Did Gil invent action figures? Or Figma? Which I think he did. He has clay figurines, including of you.
But, so you get onto the gates. Ereshkigal there. She, originally she has, the giant ghost form. Mm-hmm. But she's like, fine, I will show you my true form. And it's Ereshkigal, and everyone's all like, cool. You're all like, hey. And Ereshkigal is so goddamn cute.
Yeah, she's adorable. I'll say, it's funny. This is a kind of a thing I wanted to talk about. I don't know how much detail we'll get in, because we're at almost an hour already. We spent a lot of time talking about Bradamante. We're not, going to run out of time or anything. I think it's just the show's going to be long and possibly boring. But it's very interesting to see the comparison between the two goddesses, because they really are opposite ends. Ishtar appears to be, super bratty and annoying, but ultimately she has good intentions and a good heart. The reason why she's doing drive-bys on ranches is to destroy demonic beasts. And she's charging them so that they learn not to rely on her. She is actually super protective of Uruk. The only reason why she's okay blowing it up is because she realized, oh wait, I'm not technically in charge of this town anymore. She's super respectful to Siduri and stuff as her head priestess. So it's, that's an interesting concept about Ishtar. Arashiko's kind of the opposite, where she appears super cute and friendly all the time, but also she's, like, super petty and possessive, which you find out as you go through her bullshit trials. Or just as you're in the underworld and Ishtar's like, oh yeah, those are Arashiko's soul cages. She keeps human souls in there that she thinks are interesting and cool, and just holds them in her cages forever until they freeze over and she gets bored of them. And I'm like, girl, you need to get out more. But yeah, so like, but Aresh's expressions are adorable.
Oh my god, just head back for days.
We didn't get to see her basically hoodied sprite, but that's a version that'll come back next year's Christmas when she shows up. But yeah, no, it's fucking adorable. Yeah. Basically, you bully Arashiko into working for you because you take all the wind out of her sails, and it's just like, yeah, hi.
Basically,
I knew it was you the whole time.
Well, it wasn't just that, but she was trying to say, like, yes, I want to eradicate humanity, and you're like, no, you don't, you love humanity.
Yeah, basically, she's both goddesses are tryhards in different ways. Aresh is trying really hard to be this spooky goth goddess chick, and she's just like, nah, girl. It's fine. You're adorable. She's like, I am adorable. Am I more adorable than Ishtar?
But she says, But, so, you get that up, bring Gil's soul back. He's all like, good, let's get back to work.
Merchandising. And he does. He merchandises the shit out of it.
Mm-hmm. It's a king's duties to relay his exploits.
Mm-hmm. And so that's, I think, everybody. That's like, all right. So you're like, all right, Aresh is going to support us. She's going to stop killing people. She's going to let all these souls go so that people can come back to life.
Yep, you got the axe. You got the axe.
You get to see Anna without her hood on.
Oh, Anna's such a good girl. Oh,
she is. She's great.
Head pats.
Like I said, I will say, I really think she should have been story locked. Like, I don't know why Ket's is story locked, other than the fact that it kind of spoils that she's not a villain. But, like, they give so much away by revealing that Anna is Medusa beforehand.
Yeah, like...
Not that you can't fucking tell by the time the story ends.
I don't know if I would have put it together if I hadn't been spoiled. Like, because they have a very similar design. I mean, it's Medusa. It's like...
Right.
How many purple-haired girls do you know in FGO?
Mm-hmm.
Like, with long hair?
And also, when she's got her hood off, certain aspects of her design harken to her older sisters.
Yeah, so I'm just like, I don't know, but I think it'd been one of those things of, like, I wouldn't be able to say one way or another.
Yeah, but, I mean, even then, using her NP spoils it. Her NP is Caress of the Medusa. They like I said, they start fixing this when Epic of Remnant starts. They will have characters literally censor their own NPs and true names, even when summoned.
Mm-hmm.
Which is great. I think this is why they started that, because it gives so much away about Anna.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're gonna go confront Gorgon now.
Mm-hmm. Anna kind of, withdraws within herself a bit. Because, big secrets. Big fucking secrets.
Your strike team is Ishtar, Anna, and Merlin, and you and Mashta. And Quetzalcoatl and Jaguar Warrior are gonna hold down the front. Like, Kingo shows up and he's like, I'm gonna stab everybody. And then Quetz is like, hi. I'm gonna take the blow and break the Goddess Alliance and fucking stab Gorgon. And Kingo's like, ah, shit, I can fight you now.
Luchine-san is best.
Merlin pulls the double whammy where he's like, yeah, I'm gonna throw up the signal, you throw the axe. And you're like, Merlin, the axe is headed right for us. He's like, mm-hmm. Oh no, my staff slipped. The axe is gonna hit the temple. Which causes it to backfire horribly on Ketz.
Yeah.
But Merlin's like, but my plan succeeded.
Goddamn, Merlin, you dick wizard.
And then you fight Gorgon in the temple.
Yeah.
This is where it finally clicks, if it didn't already, what's up with Anna, because Gorgon literally can't look at her. Like, it's like, no, I can't. Who are you? Who is that servant?
They don't actually, fully, explain.
Like, they don't ever spell it out.
But you kind of get the feeling that Anna is the part of Gorgon that she, literally cast aside.
Right.
She is
basically any connection Gorgon has to her previous self, which is why she is the most young and innocent form of Medusa. Like, not even fully grown up and separate from her sisters, but, functionally identical to Setheno and Eurale. But Anna takes the bullet, basically. She does the suicide attack because her scythe can hurt immortals. So, even with Gorgon's infinite regeneration, she can't recover. The temple collapses.
They fall down the hole.
And then Kingu's like, good! This is my plan all along! Sucks to be you. This happens a lot, by the way, in Babylonia. And Tiamat apparently eats Merlin in her dreams.
Yep. And
so you lose Merlin for a huge chunk of the story. And it sucks. It really sucks. You get used to having him around, and it's just like, oh, not only are you actually great mechanically, but I miss your scubbiness because you were so lighthearted.
Yep. Gorgon did have the Grail, but...
Well, Gorgon was blessed by the Grail, but she did not physically have it. The Grail is inside Kingu the whole time.
Oh yeah, that's right. He basically mentions that. It's like, I got it. What now, bitches?
And then he fucks off.
Well,
you fight him for a little bit, but then he fucks off.
Yeah, and we enter I would say this is probably where the third act...
Yeah, this is probably where the third act starts, because the gulf turns black, and for the first time ever, Lahamu shows up. Let's talk about why Lahamus are fuckers.
Oh my god.
They are such fuckers. The worst ones are Bell Lahamus, because they are basically the no-funnest enemies that have ever no-funned. They have huge HP pools, and their special skill ability is both buff strip and decrease your NP charge, which is basically, no, you can't do anything fun. You can't keep your fucking skills, and you can't keep an NP charge, and they are just so annoying. Oh my god. And they're not even... it's not even that they're annoying in-game, too, but also, like, in story, they're just fuckers. I said this in Discord. I want to get him a giant megaphone to, get him a megaphone to giant Cosmic Mama and say, hey, Tiamat, why are the Lahamus such useless assholes? Because they really are.
These are new humans, and Tiamat sent them online to find out what it is to be humans, but they're just being fucking dicks.
Yeah, their solution to what is humanity is to key and stab people.
Like, at first they couldn't even speak language.
No, they spoke gibberish, but eventually they learned human speech, and they learned human language just to be little shits to you.
Yeah. And to Kingu.
Yes, that's true. They immediately turn on Kingu and stab him and steal his grail.
Yep. And they just go around killing people. They round up people, make them fight each other, and then they kill the victor anyway.
And at some point, some people get turned into Lahamu.
Yeah, like there's there's a specific scene where
there's two sequences.
Yeah, two sequences.
There's one situation where go ahead and tell it because you're doing it anyway.
Yeah, there's one situation where you're basically trying to like sneak up on some Lahamu. One spots you, and you fight it. But it doesn't do anything. Its actions are literally exclamation point and question mark.
And it has no NP bar. You fight it fucks off. You're like, what the fuck was up with that? I don't know. We got all this shit to do. Second time this... Also, specifically note that Ishtar seems to realize something about this Lahamu and is like, no, you guys go on ahead. If you don't need to worry about it.
Yeah. Second time, Kingu is, about to get his shit ended by these Lahamu, and one just be like, no. Just saves them and gives him, like, even if you're not actually in Kiru, you are the body of the person who will always thank you for what you did. And Kingu's like, what? And the Lahamu just...
How do I life? And it just fades away. I think it died because it betrayed its own.
Yeah.
And that was just
amazing. I'm 99% sure that was Siduri. Like, I can't compartmentalize that any other way.
Everyone assumes that the one that does nothing, especially because, it's less obvious in English, but in the original Japanese, Ishtar tells Siduri to raise her hands, and so that's the gesture. In English, they refer to it to the white flag, but the original in Japanese, the gesture is basically hands up. And I think at points that first Lahamu is described as just holding its hands up before you. So that's less clear in the English.
Yeah.
That said, that may have just been a attempt to make a better cultural translation because I don't know how well talking about hands up would play in modern America.
Yeah.
That could have some unfortunate implications that they wanted to skip. So raise the white flag came instead. But yeah, so it's basically assumed that the Lahamu who does not fight back and doesn't even die that time because Lahamus are fucking tough. Is Siduri captured and transformed. And if it's her in that second time that fades away, that's okay. Also, I feel kind of bad for Siduri, because Siduri is, I think, a minor goddess originally. We actually talked about her before Babylonia came out, because it's like, oh, she actually seems like a cool concept, a character who hangs out with Gil.
Mm-hmm.
Playable Siduri when she has her own fucking sprite.
Oh, okay, I found it. I looked it up here. She's a fucking alewife, a female goddess associated with fermentation, specifically beer and wine. You know that time when she was bringing over beer and wine? That's literally her divinity.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's cool. They should definitely try and do something like that with her later. No, the writing in this is super deep. But yeah, so Kingu he doesn't get stabbed to death, but they steal his grail, which is his core. So he's basically dying for a long time. The Bel Lahamu shows up and slurps off to the Chaos Tide and throws the grail in. This is where you first run into Corrupted Ushi.
You do give a hell of a chase, though. Like, it's a really fucking chase.
Like, Ishtar has to... Ishtar tries to fly, but she gets pinned down by Lahamus, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
But Ket summons her Quetzalcoatlosaurus, because it's a feathered serpent. It's a dragon. It's a dinosaur, but it's named after her, so she can summon it. And flies after with, like, all of you on its back. You have a fucking pterodactyl chase. Anime, please. But you chase him to the Chaos Tide. You almost get there. And then Corrupted Ushi shows up to ruin your day. The Ushi Altar. Who has some of the shittiest boss gimmicks.
Oh my god.
She will NP every turn, and then in the second fight, there's a shitload of her.
I cheesed that with, like, command seals. I'm not even gonna lie.
No, same. It's too much of a pain in the ass. She kept the first time I think I had to do that because she's accompanied by two fucking Lahamus who are, like, invincible. The second time, actually, I cheesed with a friendless Kualter who was just unkillable. It's rough, though. The NP every turn with her fucking single target. Ugh. She has unique dialogue, by the way, for using her NP and skills and stuff. Even though they're all the same. But yeah, so that's a huge pain in the ass. And then, you beat up Ushi for a while, you retreat, and then Femme Fatale comes out of the water. You meet Tiamat, who has a crazy as fuck design.
I fucking love her design.
She's great. I don't remember who her artist is, but they exist.
I'll find out later.
We'll look it up.
So basically, your servants learn to fucking, ninja, because they literally use their magic to make footholds on the water.
Mm-hmm. Because otherwise, if you touch the Chaos Tide, you will be instantly darkened.
Much corruption. And you have your first fight with Femme Fatale, where she does nothing. She just...
Yeah, Mash realizes too late that her arms and legs are bound by her own choice, which is very poignant in story. Femme Fatale restricts herself because still fundamentally, she is the mother goddess of humanity. The gods and humans come from her, mm-hmm. and she doesn't want to hurt her children.
Yeah, but like I'm pretty sure like this was something instigated by Solomon at some point to actually bring her about.
Well, Solomon summoned her from. It's weird. They call it the Abyss, but I think it's more explicit in the Japanese that they mean the imaginary numbers space, which is a big plot thing. So like,
isn't it like
that's where like Sakura's magic comes from and stuff.
That's like even beyond it or something. The other side of the world. I don't know. Yeah,
but basically she is in a place outside of where humans can normally access, and with the Grail, Solomon is able to shenanigans her awake. Though Merlin immediately steps in and uses his Dream Wizard powers to keep her busy.
Fucking dick wizard dreams.
Yeah, Merlin talks a lot about his metaphysical situation.
Oh yeah, like he hasn't left Avalon. He's still there.
Mm-hmm. He summoned a version of himself out because technically. I'm not born yet, so thus, technically, it could be said that I'm dead.
Teehee.
But also, he talks about a lot of his position as being a half-blood incubus. You know, he's half-dream demon.
Oh, yeah. Yes, how he can mimic human emotions, but he doesn't actually understand them.
Yeah. I from observing people, I can do what a human would do in these situations, but I don't really feel things the way you guys do. I'm all about dreams. But humans, your dreams are great, and I want to be there when the last human dreams something and does something, because that's going to be fucking awesome. So I'm on your side, which is great. I love that. I love that contrast to like how Solomon operates to like Merlin's like, Yeah, I'm weird and human, but I love you guys, so I'm gonna ride this out with you. Thumbs up.
You probably would say thumbs up.
Well, I said thumbs up because you can't see me thumbs up, but yes, Merlin would. But yeah, so Tiamat wakes up. You kill Femme Fatale, which means her higher level functions turn off, and she goes full kaiju. Did we mention that Nasu explicitly said that he watched Shin Godzilla about the time he wrote this story?
Yeah.
Because he did.
Do you know the only thing that makes me sad? Is you never really get a full, clear picture of what Kaiju Tiamat looks like.
No, you only get a couple of fairly at a distance great, like, wallpaper shots. And,
you get one chain shot with severe amounts of underboob.
Yes.
I'm not going to complain about that, but...
No. You get, like, one pseudo close-up, but it's a high-angle shot. That's as close as you get.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of backgrounds where you can see her legs in the, like, towering over you. But most of them are kaiju framing. They're distant shots, so you can just appreciate how huge she is.
Yeah.
Oh, this reminds me. We did miss a couple points in our actual bullet points. Some of our great lines of dialogue. Ishtar actually says when you run into Jaguar Warrior the second time, and she takes off her kigu, Miss Jaguarmura, which was Jaguarmura Sensei in Japanese because it's Taiga. Once she takes the stupid hat off, you could finally see. Jaguar Warrior's great. A blessing on all our houses.
Servants died in the
Yeah. You wrote down the thing about Drunken Divine, the Underworld Drift.
Oh yeah, because basically, one of the reasons that Ishtar has such high divinity is she pulled off like almost like the fucking greatest fucking heist and all.
Yeah, this is the legend of how she stole all the maze, all the basically spells of civilization, the instructions on how to do everything from Enki. Because Enki is the chief god of another city. Was it not Eriad? It was one of the other cities you go to.
Yeah, but she did that. Basically, I think she like got him super drunk, took all his divinity, and then just made like a getaway. But the way they explain it in FGO is they make it like she was literally driving the boat of heaven, and Gil's given like this epic recounting of how she was like pulling drifts and all this stuff, and just ends it. It was Drunken Divine Underworld Drift. I'm gonna make that a shirt one day.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's great. She drunk drove the. And by the way, this is why Ishtar is such an important goddess to Uruk, because that's what she did. She took all that civilization stuff and gave it to the city of Uruk. So that's why she's super important there, and all the priests are like, all that wacky Ishtar. Like, you can clearly see that it's very much a weird personal enmity between her and Gil.
Yeah.
The people of Uruk are like, well, one is my king, but the other is my patron goddess, so I'm just going to let them sort it out. But also, this is a perfect point for another one of the great dialogue lines where you talk to Caster Gil on the hologram phone, which he totally did not copy from. He totally didn't steal from Dr. Roman. You can choose the great dialogue line. Tiamat has the Grail. We're boned.
As I always say, there's two options usually. One is sass, one is class.
But yeah, this is the sass option. And also, very true, because fucking giant Tiamat climbs out of the ocean and starts literally flooding everything on her way to Uruk.
At this point, literally the water rise, the dark, the chaos tide starts enveloping everything.
Yeah, there's a location sprite for Tiamat which slowly scoots up the map.
Yeah, as you're like trying to do shit to slow her down.
So gameplay-wise, this section sucks.
Yeah.
The Chaos Tide saps your HP every turn. You have to fight a shitload of Lahamus and Bell Lahamus. This is where the Beast class gets introduced, which has, like, neutral class affinity. And also, some of these have the Quake field effect, which scrambles your team up, which sucks ass.
Yes, it does.
The story writing in these sections is amazing, though.
Huh?
I said the story in this section is amazing. You guys are doing everything you can to slow her down and stop her. Their plan is to dry out the Chaos Tide around her feet for Kets to use her Noble Phantasm, her really powerful one, the Sunstone.
They basically explain that Tiamat can't move anywhere where her Chaos Tide isn't. She literally has to walk on top of her water.
Right, because she's so huge that the normal rules of the world would mean she'd fall down.
She has to use it to support her. And Quetz is all like, well, we can just evaporate it all. You just gotta get me close enough and distract her long enough that I can do it.
and the master has to give me magical energy.
Mm-hmm.
So she does it. She
that mana
pops the
transfer.
sunstone. And it works. But then Tiamat starts to make the Chaos Tide, and it's like, bang. And then Kets thinks of you. There's actually a shot of your sprite, and she's like, no, I could do it again. And she does it like at least once more, maybe twice, while she's getting like stabbed by flying Lahamus and stuff.
Oh my god.
But then she realizes that, oh, Tiamat's giant horns are wings, and she can just fly.
Yep.
So that's when she comes back to you, and she's like, hey, Tiamat can fly, this plane's not going to work. I was all set to keep trying, but it's not
Shit.
going to work. And then you're like, fuck, what do we do? And Kets is like, okay, I can buy you a little bit of time, because your plan is to suck her into the underworld. Gil has built like a wall thing that'll block her off, and you want to collapse the world and put her in the underworld because Tiamat literally can't die because she is life. So you need to put her in a case where her authority can be countered because Aresh is the ultimate force in the underworld.
Basically, the way that it was explained, that as long as there are things that are alive, she cannot be killed. So she has to go to a place where there is nothing alive, aka the underworld.
So, Kets does her regular Noble Phantasm and fucking flaming dive bombs Tiamat. And you think it doesn't work.
For a few seconds.
It buys you a little bit of time, but it looks like Kets has died, and you're not super slower. It sucks a lot.
Tiamat makes it to Uruk.
There's
There's another CE of like her.
Yes, there's a fucking attack on Titan level C as she just clumps through the walls and just like, comes out of the fucking smoke like.
Oh, there's one point that we missed that I thought was really fucking crazy. That was good. Like before you go out on this like crazy ass plane, you're talking to Gil and the city of Uruk, and he tells you, "Yeah, there's only me and 500 other people left," and you're just like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "No, this is good because
the prophecy said we would all be dead by now.
Yeah, it's
There
like,
would be
good job.
nobody left."
And you're just all like,
yeah.
And it's all like, through all your actions, you have saved 500 people, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah, Gil's the master of perspective. Like, you're feeling sad. Oh, fuck, all those people died we were supposed to save. And he's like, oh, no, those people are definitely dead. But there's 500 more people alive than there should be. So, you did great, kid. And you're like, all right. And then Gil does another great thing, because Tiamat busts in, and he... they talked about their magical catapults. Well, Gil can run all of them at once.
You know why? Because he's the last person left in Uruk.
Yeah.
Literally.
There's literally nobody else. The tide is sweeping the streets, and there's nothing else there. But he's standing on top of his fucking ziggurat, and he tells Tiamat, all right, ma, come get me. And he just starts firing his lasers from the walls. And
I can only imagine him doing this in the Gynex pose,
Yes.
Shoulders back, arms crossed.
And he yells it out as he, gives her his laser beam montage, his laser light show. Ancient Babylonian laser beams. And he's like, I could fire them all if I work myself to death. I can keep going. Tiamat snipes him with an eye laser, and he's like, ha! It's only a mortal wound. I'm still alive for now. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna do the thing. And he goes down fighting. While he sends Ishtar up to, like, collapse it, because Aresh is like, okay, hey, we're done down here.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's why you need to buy time, because when you communicate with Aresh about this, it's like, yeah, I've been kind of setting this up, but I still need more time.
Yeah, I needed like 3 days, but I was able to shave that down to like 2. But she manages to get it done. So, well, you're passed the fuck out, by the way. Like, Tiamat's blast that almost kills Gil basically knocks you unconscious, because also you've been using all your magical energy, so Kat could blow herself up. Ishtar flies high into the heavens, and you, for the first official time, which I'm assuming is how it'll be in the anime, she uses her NP and just creates a giant crater in Uruk, which Tiamat falls in, and she lands in the underworld, where literally she is the last thing alive. Aresh saves your asses, and then is just like, I assume she like pops her knuckles, and she's like, all right, Iron Spears of Kur, stab her. And you think it's gonna work. It's not gonna work. Tiamat starts flooding the underworld with the Chaos Tide. Aresh is stunned. She can't possibly. What are you gonna do? Everybody's dead, Dave. And then the Chaos Tide turns to flowers, which is I think this is the scene to me that is like, this is the fucking scene that needs a great anime adaptation, right? Where you're just like, literally all hope is lost, everything's fucked, and then just suddenly it's like, what are all these flowers doing in the underworld? Because the underworld's a shitty place. And then Merlin shows up and he's like, hey, it's actually me this time. I literally ran all the way from Avalon to get here. And then he's like...
What I thought was best about... Well, Merlin shows up. He literally does, saves the day. Aresh is super happy because she's never had flowers in the underworld.
Yes. Like, this is the most beautiful thing she's ever seen in her life because she's been stuck in here the whole time.
But the thing that got me... yes.
Merlin reveals who his ally has been this entire time.
Did they actually say, like, an entire... Well, probably. But
at least in this entire chapter.
So, basically, there's been a couple scenes where you meet an old man who names himself as... What did he name himself as?
Something with a Z. It's basically, Romani tells you that it's the name of the oldest man alive in Mesopotamian mythology, the guy who survived the flood.
Yeah, I have his name up in Wikipedia. It's Tanapatish, but I don't. That's the Akkadian name.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's like the. But basically, this guy's like pretty much a god because he basically saved everybody. Well, he saved like all the animals. He basically did know. He's the Noah of Sumeria. I said this is one of those crossovers where it makes you think there's probably a time in the Earth's history where there was a fucking giant flood, but you give him some bread like an airing, and you give it without like pity. You give it because it's the right thing to do or something.
Yeah.
He gives you like sage advice. He shows up later.
He warns you about all the goddesses basically. He tells you he warns you not to celebrate with Kets because that's counter to your aims.
Don't rejoice with the don't celebrate with it. Whatever, don't empathize. But it tells you that, and he shows up like once more when you fall into the underworld the first time by accident. He's like, "Nah, get out of here." But then he shows up again. This is like a fucking background. This is like this old man, and he's just like, "I have come to repay the debt."
And he's like, "Oh, he's speaking in very formal words. Oh, great, Earth Mother." It's time to show you. I shall impart upon you the concept of death, and just peels off his disguise.
It's Grandpa.
It's fucking old man Hassan, the king the King Hassan, the man in the mountain. And he's just like, I am here.
You're just like, oh.
One of your responses to this is, oh hell yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, actually, we should say we missed an important plot point. Before Tiamat shows up on the final day, Kingu is lying on the Celestial Hill dying because he has no core.
Right.
Gil gives him the wish machine of Uruk, which he just had lying around, so he can live again. Which means, Kingu buys you the last couple seconds you need because he uses Enkidu's Noble Phantasm to turn into the Chain of Heaven and physically binds Tiamat for, I don't know, however long you were unconscious. To hold her back the last couple minutes, hours, whatever.
Yeah, they ran into it. But Kingu basically, once he gets betrayed, starts questioning who he was and what he's been doing and what is his purpose now. And after running into Siduri and hearing that, and then running into Gil on the Celestial Hill, and Gil's just all like, "Yeah, you might not be the Enkidu I knew, but
you were still physically his body, so."
And last time he didn't get to see Enkidu's final moments. So, he gave thanks, and he says, this thing should be good enough for it.
So, yeah, Kingu flips it around, and he actually holds back Tiamat for a little bit. The old man comes out, and he cuts, because Tiamat turns into her, full dragon kaiju form. And the old man cuts her wing.
Just right off.
So she can't fly out of the hole, and they impart the concept of death on her.
Oh, she tries to get out, though. Oh, she really tries to. She starts climbing.
You get King Hassan on your side in a great sequence.
Oh, man, it was so good.
Yeah, that's a gacha I'm gonna hope I have some quartz lying around for. Because he's fucking rad. Dokuda! Tolling of the bell. You get shitloads of buff now. You finally flip it around.
You get the Blessings of Kur, where basically Rush Girl says, I will use my authority. He says, you are a fucking baller here in the underworld.
Which actually sacrifices herself. Ishtar goes down and is like, hey, you can't do that, right? You're the goddess of the dead. You can't let living people fuck around, do whatever they want. And she's like, yeah, I know.
But it'll take some time, they actually like. I feel like this is what alludes it makes it allude to that she'll actually see her again because she says, "Yeah, it'll take some time to get this one, but I'll be back." Maybe like I can't remember what she says exactly, but she kind of alludes that she wants to go with the master,
which is good. By the way, we were like an hour and a half, so I feel like I don't want to speed this up too much, but we're at the end. Basically, you kill Tiamat. It's really cool. You get a couple grails. Mash gets her ascension. You get back to Chaldea, and shit's on fire, and Romani's like, oh yeah, Solomon's trying to suck us up into his final singularity, and if you don't do this, if you don't beat him before the 31st, we're gonna die.
Yeah. Couple points here. Basically, when Tiamat was falling, and Merlin was like, because Merlin got taken out of the fuck again.
Yeah, Tiamat deliberately targets him with like Bel Lahamu, so he has to leave.
Yeah, but on his way back up and Tiamat's falling, he just like snatches the grail. You give that one, you get that one. And then as you're leaving again, Gil's like, here, have some ale in the cup. And you're like, we can't drink. Well, just keep the fucking cup then. And it's his grail, and you're like,
yes.
Wait, Gil, what? And he's like, be gone!
Yeah, you have your favorite signing off scene. And also, Gil shows up as himself as a servant. He summons himself, basically, as his archer form for the final fight.
Dude, that's how honestly I finished the final fight. I finished the last hit on the final on the Tiamat's head was Gil's the Elish. And I thought that was very
That might have been how it was for me. I used Herc a lot in the final ones. I tried to use Jolter. I used Jolter a lot. There was a lot of all of my hate. Just hate beams.
But oh god, yeah, but I liked how they explain it, because Gil actually says at one point, all those people that died in the singularities, they don't come back. They're still dead.
Which I feel like wasn't a spoiler. Didn't they explicitly say that in Orleans?
I don't know.
I feel like they said, because they were like, ago. It was a long time ago. I feel like they said that, yeah, people don't necessarily come back to life. It's just history is corrected, and they would have died from like a plague or something normal.
Yeah, and basically, so Gil's like, don't worry about that everyone died. Like, it was gonna happen regardless. It's not gonna be like the end of humanity. It's just gonna be the end of this dynasty. And it's just like, oh man, that's really fucking heavy.
Yeah.
Oh, here was Zudu. I found the fucking name.
Yeah.
It's Zisudu. I'll fucking like. I'm not gonna fucking put these names.
Yeah.
I'm just not. That is not everything I want. Oh my god. I'm just trying to. Nope. Whatever. I'll link it later. But I found it. Anyway. So yeah, that was Babylonia. Really fucking good.
Can't wait for the anime.
Yeah. I hope we get some news on it soon.
But also, I think because this isn't necessarily a spoiler about the mechanics of Lost Belt, but the shadow border, your little mobile base thing that you're using to travel to all these Lost Belts, because the Lost Belts are geographic, not time based this time. It travels through the imaginary numbers dimension where Tiamat's supposed to be sleeping. So I'm super expecting she's going to come back up later.
I really hope she does. Like, I want to talk about this a little bit, because reading her profile, like, I think she could manifest as an alter ego. It honestly is probably the only way she can manifest.
I think she also might be able to... I mean, like, people want a playable version of the Beast class for mechanics reasons that we won't be able to get into for a long time. But, I could also see her as an Avenger, kind of similar to how she...
know. Well, yeah, she was... I guess she was kind of betrayed by... Like, the way they explain it in FGO, she kind of was betrayed by humanity. By the fact that they deemed her too dangerous.
Well, yeah, because she was the primordial mother. It was like, okay, you've done your job, and Gil even says this when he's challenging her. Every child needs to grow up and separate themselves from their mother. That's why she was sealed off in the alternate dimension, because she has the ability to create an entire new biosphere from scratch anytime she feels like it. So the gods had to physically separate from her. Which you can kind of see, because all of the beasts that they summon are Tiamat's special mobs are all huge pains in the ass.
Yeah. And reading the bio for Tiamat, she doesn't the way Tiamat is right there, she doesn't have any interest in humanity, as it were. It's with her without her brain, even less so. She was people might get on Tiamat for why are you fucking destroying? She was really running on a lizard brain.
Yeah, she was running on her pure instinct, which was to basically destroy the children who betrayed her and remake the world to start over.
Yeah. So
she's
I don't
clearly
know.
capable of some intelligent planning with Kingu, right?
Mhm.
Like that was an actual plan that went on there.
And there's, also like Solomon influences and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But Jesus fucking Christ, she is fucking adorable.
Yeah, no.
Oh my god. Like,
All right.
she doesn't even have to be a servant. I just want her like floating around my Chaldea.
It's funny. You should see the April Fool's art for T-Mat. But all right, so we're at a solid hour and a half. We have
All
to
right.
do Solomon pregame
All right.
because it'll drop on
You
like
wanna-
a Thursday or something. Luckily, it's short as fuck.
yeah. I'm gonna look
so
up TMS stuff.
yes, and I think just because the show is a million years again, we're gonna put off so you didn't get that 5-star and the new servants JP again. I'm sorry, but the show's super long. I want to talk about him, but it's taking forever. Hey, this means that if we have, maybe we can delay the new JP one for a couple weeks so the voice can yell about Bradamante. We'll see. Yeah, voice is still here. I was about to check. So Time Temple of Solon, Grand Temple of Time. It's actually a pretty straightforward story. It's a bit like a raid event. No joke. You have to do some main story, and then you fight a couple Demon Pillar bosses. One normal's the question mark type, and one's a saber type. Then you unlock a series of no battles quests, which unlock the actual raids. I believe, if I'm remembering this right, all the raids have like 2 million HP, except one has like, I think the saber one is like 6 million you have to beat up. They each have a buff it applies to the other pillar raids. It does not apply its own buff or debuff, but yeah. They drop specific mats, so expect people to farm them quick. Like all other raids, there will be at least one final battle with the pillar after the global HP bar is depleted. So Nabirius drops a lot of Void Dust. Flauros is a Lancer who drops Scales, Talons, Octuple Crystals, and Hero Proofs. Fornius is a caster who drops Phoenix Feathers, Snake Gems, Shells, and Stingers. Barbatos, who is the one that everybody is going to kill immediately, so if for love of God, do your runs against Barbatos while you can. Because Barbatos drops Hearts, as well as Gears, Pages, and Homunculus Babies, and is an assassin. Yeah, Pages and Hearts are like super in demand. Halfus is a Berserker who drops Spirit Root, Horns, Shoes, and Bones. Amon, which is one I'm personally going to be after, is a Rider who drops Lamps, Scarabs, Night Metals, and Chains. Sabnok drops Cursed Beast Gallstones, Grease, Seeds, and Fangs. And Dromalius drops the new Primordial Lanugo Hair, Bloodstones, Lamps, and more Void Dust. And like I said, people are going to be killing the shit out of Barbatos, so if you have a chance, get your runs in now. I personally am also going to spam Amon, like I said. Defeat all Demon Pillars to advance. Each finale quest, the actual like story version you do, will drop 1 summon ticket for 6 total. Then we get to the real shit, the final confrontation.
Oh!
And yes, literally, once you beat all the pillar bosses, it's just the final. We gotta confront Solomon as a caster with 900k HP. He can evade, debuff, and cleanse his own debuffs, but is not a serious challenge otherwise. It's just use riders to crush him. Then we fight him in 2 parts as his Demon Pillar class. This means that he has class advantage against Knights, is weak to Cavalry, and has a hard time hurting Avengers. The first fight is 1 million HP and ends when he NPs. The second fight is 1.5 million HP and has a nasty gimmick. The first turn he takes, he buffs himself with Pierce Invul, several levels of NP damage plus, and fully charges his NP, and then drops it. So unless you use debuffs like NP or Still Skill or Buff Cancel, which we talked about earlier, he will wipe out your front line in the first turn. You also cannot use Mash in the Part 2 battle. So, by the way, Mephisto has a Buff Cancel as a skill, which is automatic as his rank up skill, so if you have time, rank that clown up. It's funny. The final fight, he has 1 million HP again and returns to being a caster. He has a permanent buff, which means he only takes ×1 damage from all classes, but his attack should still be resisted by riders, if I read that right. He will reduce your NP charge to 0 first turn and has some debuffs. And then when his HP gets low, he'll basically suicide attack. He'll reduce himself to 1 HP to charge his NP to full and get a big damage buff on it. So basically have some spare servants, because he'll be really easy to kill after he does it. But if you're on your back line, he'll blow you away. And then with all of these, you'll have seen all of time and space. You'll get a Grail, and Mash gets an NP level upgrade. Hooray!
Yay!
It's super simple. And we are now at almost an hour 40, so... like I
right.
said, I would love to talk about the new servants, both the ones that have been on the banners and stuff. But I figure we should go ahead and wrap just for the sake of the audience's sanity. Also, I haven't eaten lunch yet today, so
honestly, I'm thinking about like what we're gonna have going on next week. I mean, Solomon will just have dropped.
Yeah, we will have first impressions, but we will probably still be in the middle of raids.
Yeah, and as I said, JP's gonna be in the middle of fucking Christmas still, I believe.
Yes, because the Christmas event, I think, doesn't end until the actual 25th Christmas.
Yeah, so they probably won't have anything announced.
No, because the next thing will be New Year's.
Yeah, they might. I don't know. Maybe they'll announce. Maybe actually, I don't know. They might announce something. I don't know. But it won't
be too clear then. So hopefully we should have nothing else to talk about next week.
Yeah,
which is good because I want to talk about the servants. Just a lot of interesting thoughts about Bradamante, Samba, and also the other ones: Caskill, Lancer Medusa, Gorgon, Jaguar Warrior, who should really be Jaguar Man because she's entirely Devilman references. But yeah. So we'll talk about that later in any new news that comes up. All right, let's wrap up. Final thoughts.
Well, I do want to say that we did have added a few topics to Teach Me Omega Sensei. We have now added what is a person's origin, which I think is something really cool and important. Which goes over several of the Natsuverse IPs.
Yes.
And we also added one. This is more my behest. What are the extra classes? Because I think the last time we actually talked about classes as they were, we really didn't get into too much detail about the extra ones.
Yeah, because we had talked about them in the distant past somewhere, but not in detail. So I figure it's worth going over again, especially because a lot of people have confusion about Foreigner and Alter Ego.
Yeah.
And some people have confusion over Ruler, but
there's just confusion about all of them in general. But as I said, soon, like I said, we're gonna, as we get further in the story and more becomes revealed, we'll be definitely adding. And if there's some that you want to add, feel free to suggest them.
It looks like the poll's not going to end until tomorrow, but it looks like, as of the recording, that How Do Mystic Codes Work will win. So theoretically, we could do that next week.
Well, we'll see.
But we'll see.
Depends how much. We'll see how much stuff just all of a sudden suddenly falls in our lap.
Yeah.
For final thoughts, next week we're gonna definitely be recording Let's Talk FGO together. But the day after that, Mega's gonna be gone, and I'm gonna be by myself. And I'm thinking of making next week's What's Up public. That way I can bounce off all you lovely listeners. And,
that's right, I just realized. I was thinking about that. Oh, I can't wait to talk about books on What's Up. Oh, wait.
Nope.
I'm not going to be here. I'll have
to save that. It's going to be all me. It's going to be titled, it's going to be live with Lucky on the Loose. Yeah, that's catchy. But don't worry, it's Mega will still be here for Let's Talk FGO, so you're not gonna have to hear me try to fumble way more fucking names than I really should. Ugh.
Yeah.
As if well, so actually now that Voice is online,
I was about to say because you want to go ahead and rope him in. Well, I mean he's listening, hopefully, so he can even give us a live response. But we're thinking about having him on the 28th for our last show of 2018. We can talk about the year and the story and stuff in retrospective. Hopefully, everybody will have beaten the final boss by then.
Yep. As I said, that's what we're gonna try and do.
And I'm thinking of also making that one that Let's Talk FGO a public one to have a public audience for it to just talk about the year and stuff with people.
I hate to say it, but I'm still working on the script for my fucking video because I was looking at them I made this way too far.
Hey, that happens sometimes.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I've been super there's a couple videos I want to do. There's no new video today just because I had to do all the work for this episode right now yesterday. Again. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's we're in a really super busy time.
Yeah. I said, when we get done with this, though, it's definitely chill time. I have put in my 40 hours. I have recorded. I got to do a fuck ton of editing later. Nah, this is me time. I'm going to go play some video games.
I have a huge hankering to play Prey again right now. God, I love Prey. Anyway, let's go and wrap up the episode in an hour, 45 minutes. And I said that we could get through all our stuff. I lied because we love Babylonia a lot. Also, we yelled at people for being angry at Bradamante for 30 minutes. Oopsie.
Well, not angry at Bradamante, but angry at people being angry about.
Well, yeah, no, I said that we yelled at people who were angry about Bradamante for half an hour.
Well, you cut out, so whatever. I'm going to do a pro level slip.
Alright, so, if you like this episode, give it a like. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section down below. You can also jump in our Discord and do all that stuff we mentioned our Discord about. And of course, if you are new here and have not already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for all our latest videos. Even if you already subscribed, don't forget to hit that bell for notifications. so you always know when we post a video, because that can be a little chaotic sometimes. And lastly, like it says at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can access episodes early. You can get access to this show in audio format, downloadable right away as soon as it's done editing, for as little as $1 a month. And it just really helps us out, guys. It just helps us out a lot. So, that's where we'll leave you. Next week on Let's Talk FGO, we'll talk about probably our first impressions for the Temple of Time Solomon. So, we'll see you then, everybody.
Hey, it is.